Hey everyone, welcome to our March edition of our Microsoft updates. So we've got our monthly blog that we always release, and today we're going to be running through that blog on this video just to give you an idea of what's been released across March, any updates, anything exciting and new, any changes I think you guys should be aware of. So let's get it started. Okay, so new and exciting features. Intune macOS, so device management has also always been something that's not quite the finished article within Intune for device management. Microsoft have released a couple of new updates that hopefully make life easier for Mac admins that are using Intune and potentially pave the way for future improvements that potentially make it a contender for Mac management. Looking to contend with things like Jamf, Kanji, Jamf being probably the market leader out there at the moment. So those that are familiar with Windows devices will know what Autopilot is. So it's an automatic device enrollment solution. So you get it out of the box, it enrolls into Intune, you get all your configuration out of the box. Mac has something quite very similar that's called ADE, so that's automatic device enrollment. It's based on having your Apple Business Manager, having when you purchase devices, having the hardware equivalent of hardware IDs uploaded to them, and that way you can have those devices automatically deploy into Intune. One of the issues that you have with that at the moment is when you do that out of box experience, it will fire you straight through to the desktop rather than waiting for the configuration to come through. So from an end user perspective, what it looks like is, half your configuration's missing, apps might not be there. So on the back of that, you might get a load of tickets raised if you've got people working from home that are getting, your Mac devices. So what they've done is released a await final configuration screen. What that's going to do is just stop end users being able to use the device until all the configuration is there. Sounds fairly simple enough, but it's just a feature that's been missing for a while. Alongside that, the company portal application is now supporting single sign-on. It's currently in public preview, but what that means is it's going to allow you to sync your Enter ID passwords to your local account on the Mac using the Enterprise Single Sign-On extension. Again, this is just another step forward in Intune being able to manage Macs in a much more efficient way. I'll be honest, in the next couple of years, if we don't see a sort of full autopilot end-to-end Enter ID join out of the box, I'd be surprised. And when that day comes, I'm sure the Mac admins out there will be very happy. Okay, moving on. Nice little update into Outlook. So Outlook has come up with a nice little update that allows users to set work hours and locations. In the world we live in, hybrid working is pretty much here, there and everywhere. It's really important for teams to be able to manage their location. So if you've got collaboration going on and you want to know who's in the office, who's out the office, where people may be, you can now inside your Outlook calendar effectively schedule yourself so people can have visibility of where their team's locations and where all the users are within their organization. A couple of screenshots on there, and you can see sort of team views to let you know who's in office, who's out of office. Moving on to SharePoint. So Microsoft announced a SharePoint eSignature solution, very much going to be up there against things like Adobe Sign, DocuSign. It's in SharePoint's premium tier that they announced back in the back end of 2023. Businesses have long relied on third-party solutions for something as simple as signing PDF documents. So based on the Microsoft Syntex platform, it's going to be into global availability in the first half of 2024. I know it's available in quite a lot of tenants at the moment. I think those in across the other side in the United States have got access to it first. What this actually allows you to do is bring in a raft of security benefits alongside just being able to sign documents. If you think about your conditional access, so your multi-factor authentication, if you were to then, if you were sending out a document for signature, potentially you'd want a policy on the back of that that means that the user has to confirm MFA before they get access to the document to sign, rather than, if you think of exfiltration, if somebody's mailbox was compromised potentially, maybe they'd forward that email on, maybe they'd try and get hold of that document if it's confidential. So if you can add that extra layer of security on top of that, as well as the simplicity of having that document signing process built inside SharePoint, so you're not having to go use external flows to go to third-party service to do that. So nice and useful. Feels like it should have been here a lot sooner than it is, but nice to see it's being brought in. Teams. So quick update on Teams. I think since the inception of Windows 11, one of the biggest bugbears for users and support staff is that Microsoft have this personal teams and a work and school teams. I think when Windows 11 was first brought in, it was like pinned to the taskbar, right? You couldn't remove that without going and playing with the registry and doing all sorts of hacks to try and make that disappear. I know when Windows 11 first came around, there was endless tickets around people getting confused between the personal and the work, and why it wasn't working for them. So Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, have now got around to making it one application, and that is going to be released in March inside as preview and out for a release in April. So all that's going to do is you'll see the personal version be removed. There'll be just one application called Microsoft Teams. Now, in the newer Teams, those that have been on the preview that was out sort of at the back end of last year will know the switching between accounts has become a lot easier. The process of looking at somebody's Teams environment on a different tenancy is a lot simpler. Messages and calls no longer drop off. Microsoft has just basically built that platform with the personal side built in, so you can be signed into your personal account and you can just switch between work, personal, whatever it is you need to do. So hopefully that one should save a lot of issues on the support side moving forward, and hopefully a streamlined and much simpler process all round. Update on Microsoft Azure. So just for a bit of background on this, for cloud service providers out there, AWS, Google, Microsoft Azure, there are charges for inbound and outbound of traffic, so ingress and egress. One of the bugbears for organizations that may look to switch providers or change services, whatever it may be, is transferring out of data, and there's also always charges associated to that. So if you imagine you had 100 terabytes of data, if you wanted to go from AWS to Azure, there's charges to pay to get that data exfiltrated out. Based on the European Data Act, an exemption has now been announced, so this data transfer out to the internet to all Azure customers globally, not just across Europe, from any Azure region, is now free of charge. This is going to greatly benefit businesses, whether they're coming or going from whatever service provider. It was also noted AWS and GCP have followed suit in line with the European Data Act, so it's just going to be a lot more compliancy, a lot more simplicity when it comes to potentially moving suppliers, having a multi-cloud instance where you're moving data left, right and center. It's going to make those charges significantly less. So that's a really good update on the Azure front. Just to raise awareness, Windows 10 end of support, 18 months to go. I know a lot of people are thinking, well, it's 18 months is a long time to go. Every time that a release goes end of support, it soon creeps around. Let's ignore Windows 8 for a second. Windows 7 end of life, crept around really quickly. There was years of warnings, but people still ended up with Windows 7 past the end of life. Just want to raise this out. 18 months to go. You need to start getting plans in place. Those organizations with much larger device estates that may still be on Windows 10 need to start looking at options to upgrade, whether that's device replacements depending on your refresh cycle, or using services such as Intune and Autopilot to help automate this process as much as possible. Just something we really need to call out, because it will be here sooner than you think. I know it's 18 months, but trust me, it flies by. So that's pretty much it for this month. Short and sweet. If there is any questions, feel free to reach out. Give us a shout, drop us an email, give us a like and a follow on LinkedIn, and speak to you soon. All right, cheers, thanks everyone.